Help, my sister did this to me. The village elders gathered in front of the small farmhouse, their faces solemn but kind. Amara and Zuri stood side by side, their expressions a stark contrast. Amara's face was filled with quiet resolve, while Zuri's eyes darted around impatiently. Elder Kofi, the eldest among them, cleared his throat. Today, we honor the wishes of your late father, he began, unrolling a parchment. He wished for his farm to be equally divided between his beloved daughters, Amara and Zuri. Amara nodded respectfully, her hands clasped in front of her. I will work hard to honor father's memory, she said. This farm has always been our family's pride. I will ensure it continues to feed our village. Zuri rolled her eyes and huffed. Equal share? She muttered under her breath. It should be mine alone. Elder Kofi continued, ignoring Zuri's grumbling. Your father believed in fairness and unity. He wanted you both to work together for the good of the village. Amara smiled warmly. I'm grateful for this blessing. Together, we can achieve great things. Zuri forced a tight-lipped smile, but her mind was already spinning with thoughts of how she could make the farm hers entirely. Yes, of course, she said, waving her hand dismissively. We will do our best. The other elders exchanged worried glances but said nothing. Elder Kofi handed each sister a small carved wooden token, symbolizing their shared inheritance. Remember, Elder Kofi said, looking at them both, this land is not just a gift, but a responsibility. May you honor your father's legacy. As the elders departed, Amara turned to Zuri with a hopeful smile. We can make this work, Zuri. Together, we can make father proud. Zuri's smile faded the moment the elders were out of sight. We'll see about that, she muttered, turning away and leaving Amara standing alone, the weight of their father's legacy heavy on her shoulders. Amara wiped the sweat from her brow as she stood up from the vegetable patch. The sun was bright and warm, but her heart felt light. Around her, villagers bustled, their faces filled with gratitude and joy as they walked alongside her. Amara, these tomatoes are the juiciest I ever seen, said Mama Ayo, an elderly woman with kind eyes, holding up a plump red tomato. Amara smiled warmly. Thank you, Mama Ayo. It is the good soil and hard work of everyone here. Please, take as many as you need. Mama Ayo's eyes sparkled with appreciation. You are always so generous, Amara. The village is blessed to have you. Nearby, a group of children gathered around a basket of fresh cucumbers. Can we have some, Amara? One of the boys asked, his eyes wide with hope. Of course, Amara replied, kneeling down to their level. Take some for your families. There's plenty for everyone. As the children thanked her and ran off with their cucumbers, Amara noticed Zuri standing at the edge of the field, her arms crossed and a scowl on her face. Zuri, come join us, Amara called out. There is so much to do, and many hands make light work. Zuri shook her head, her expression sour. Why should I break my back when you seem so happy to do it all? Amara sighed but remains patient. It's not just about the work, Zuri. It's about helping our community and keeping father's legacy alive. Zuri scoffed. Legacy or not, I have better things to do than play farmer. Ignoring her sister's bitterness, Amara turned back to the villagers. Let's gather more produce for those who couldn't come today, she said. No one in our village should go hungry. As they worked, villagers continued to praise Amara. You have a heart of gold, Amara, said Kofi, a middle-aged farmer. We are lucky to have you leading us. Amara shook her head modestly. We do this together. It's not just for me. Our strength is in our unity. From a distance, Zuri watched, her resentment growing. The more the villagers adored Amara, the more she felt like an outsider in her own home. Determined to find a way to claim the farm's riches for herself, she silently vowed to take action soon. The sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the fields as the villagers finished their work. Amara stood, looking over the thriving farm and the grateful faces of her community, her heart filled with contentment despite the shadow of her sister's discontent lurking nearby. Zuri paced back and forth in her small cluttered home. Her mind was racing with thoughts of how to make the farm hers alone. She stopped in front of a cracked mirror, glaring at her reflection. Why should Amara get all the praise and respect? She muttered to herself. I deserve that farm more than she does. An idea began to form in her mind. She remembered an old piece of land on the outskirts of the village, barren and useless. A cunning smile spread across her face. Yes, she whispered, I'll make her think it's valuable. Then the farm will be mine. Later that evening, Zuri went to find Amara. She found her sister sitting by the fireplace, mending a basket. Amara, Zuri called sweetly, I need to speak with you. Amara looked up, surprised by her sister's tone. What is it, Zuri? Zuri sat beside her, feigning concern. I've been thinking about our inheritance. The farm is a lot of work, and I can see how much it takes out of you. Amara nodded, her expression softening. It is hard work, but it's worth it for the village. Zuri sighed dramatically. I know, but I worry about you. I've heard of a piece of land that's said to be very fertile and closer to the river. It could be a great opportunity for you to start fresh and make things easier. Amara frowned, confused. What land are you talking about? Zuri leaned in, her voice low and persuasive. It's a bit of a secret, but I can arrange for you to have it. In exchange, I will take full responsibility for the farm. You wouldn't have to work so hard anymore. Amara's eyes widened. That sounds too good to be true, Zuri. Why would you do this for me? Zuri smiled, trying to hide her impatience. Because we are sisters, Amara. I want what's best for you. Amara hesitated, looking into her sister's eyes. Despite the nagging doubt in her mind, she wanted to believe in Zuri's good intentions. If you truly think it's for the best, then I trust you. Zuri's smile grew wider. Wonderful. I'll make all the arrangements. You will see. This will be good for both of us. Amara nodded slowly. All right, Zuri, I'll agree to the exchange. As Amara returned to her mending, Zuri's eyes gleamed with triumph. She had successfully set her deceitful plan in motion, convinced that soon the farm would be hers alone. The next morning, the deal was made. Amara handed over her share of the farm to Zuri, receiving the deed to the barren land in return. Zuri watched with satisfaction as Amara walked away, her heart filled with anticipation of the wealth and power she believed she now possessed. But as Amara looked at the barren land, her heart sank with the realization of what she had lost, not knowing that her sister's greed would soon bring consequences that neither of them could foresee. The sun beat down mercilessly on the once vibrant fields, now overrun with weeds and suffering under neglect. Villagers, their brows furrowed with concern, gathered near the main farmhouse, their voices hushed in worry. It's worse than I feared, muttered Mama Ayo, shaking her head as she inspected the shriveled tomato plant. The crops are failing, and there's barely enough to feed our families. Kofi, the village elder, nodded gravely. Amara has let us down, he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. She promised to care for the farm, but instead she has brought ruin upon us. Nearby, Amara paced with a troubled expression, aware of the villagers' growing discontent. She clenched her fists, unable to face their accusing stares. Amara called out Kofi, his voice cutting through the murmurs of the villagers. The farm is suffering. What do you intend to do about it? Amara turned to face them, her eyes flashing with defensiveness. I'm doing the best I can, she insisted, her voice tinged with unease. These things take time. You can't expect miracles overnight. Mama Ayo shook her head, her voice trembling with frustration. But we trusted you, Amara, she said, her gaze unwavering. We relied on the farm for our livelihoods, and now we are struggling to survive. Amara's facade cracked, her guilt bubbling to the surface. I know, she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. Kofi stepped forward, his expression stern yet compassionate. Amara, the farm needs someone who cares for it, he said firmly. If you cannot fulfill your duty, perhaps it's time to reconsider. Amara looked down, her shoulders slumping with defeat. I'll do better, she promised quietly, her words barely audible. I'll find a way to make things right. As the villagers exchanged uncertain glances, Amara retreated into the farmhouse, overwhelmed by the weight of her failure. She knew she had let down not only herself, but also the entire village. Yet, deep inside, a spark of determination flickered. She vowed to redeem herself to prove that she could still turn the farm around and regain the trust she had lost. Amara stood at the edge of the barren land, the last rays of the setting sun painting the horizon in shades of orange and pink. The soil beneath her feet was dry and cracked, a stark contrast to the fertile fields she had once tended with such love. Beside her, Mama Ayo approached, her weathered face etched with concern. It's not too late to change your mind, Amara, she said softly, her voice tinged with sympathy. No one could blame you for walking away. Amara shook her head resolutely, her eyes fixed on the horizon. No, Mama Ayo, she replied firmly, her voice filled with determination. This land may be barren now, but I believe it has potential. With hard work and patience, we can make it thrive. Mama Ayo nodded slowly, her admiration for Amara evident in her eyes. You have a brave heart, Amara, she said, her voice filled with pride. We will stand by you, whatever comes. As the days turned into weeks, Amara threw herself into the task of transforming the barren land. She dug trenches to channel water from the nearby river, carefully planting drought-resistant seeds in neat rows. Villagers gathered each morning to lend their hands, their spirits buoyed by Amara's unwavering faith. One morning, as Amara knelt in the dust, carefully tending to a tender shoot, a group of children approached with baskets of fresh mulch. We gathered this for you, Amara, one of the boys said eagerly, his eyes shining with excitement, to help your plants grow strong. Amara smiled gratefully, accepting the gift with a nod. Thank you, children, she said warmly, her heart swelling with gratitude. Your kindness means more to me than you know. As weeks turned into months, the barren land slowly began to change. Green shoots pushed through the dry soil, reaching for the sun with renewed vigor. The once empty fields now teemed with life, vibrant plants blooming where there had once been only dust. One evening, as the villagers gathered to admire the transformation, Kofi stepped forward, his voice ringing out with pride. Look what you have accomplished, Amara, he said, his eyes gleaming with admiration. You have turned this barren land into a beacon of hope. Amara smiled humbly, her gaze sweeping over the fields with pride. It was not me alone, she said, her voice filled with gratitude. It was the strength and unity of our village that made this possible. The villagers nodded in agreement, their hearts filled with admiration for their determined friend. Together, they celebrated the miracle that had bloomed from hardship, knowing that with faith and perseverance, even the most barren of lands could be transformed into a flourishing garden of life. At the other end, the village buzzed with tension as villagers gathered in small groups, their voices hushed but filled with concern. Eyes darted towards Zuri's hut, where whispers of discontent grew louder with each passing moment. The villagers often took time working on Amara's farm and Zuri's farm to make ends meet. Kofi, the village elder, stepped forward, his voice firm yet tinged with sadness. Zuri, we cannot ignore the state of the farm any longer, he said, addressing the gathered villagers. Our crops are failing and our families are suffering. Zuri emerged from her hut, her expression defensive and eyes narrowed. I have done what I can, she retorted sharply, her voice tinged with frustration. Do not act as though I alone am responsible for this. Mama Ayo stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. But you were entrusted with our livelihood, Zuri, she said, her gaze unwavering. We trusted you to care for the farm and you have let us down. Zuri's face flushed with anger, her fist clenched at her side. I did not ask for this burden, she snapped, her voice rising. I have my own troubles to contend with. The villagers exchanged uncertain glances, their frustration mounting. It is not just about the farm, Zuri, said Kofi, his tone gentle but firm. It's about our community, our way of life. Zuri showed a sigh, her anger giving way to a sense of helplessness. I never asked for your trust, she muttered bitterly, turning away from the accusing stares. As the villagers continued to voice their grievances, the tension in the air thickened. Voices grew louder, accusations sharper, until the village square echoed with the clash of opinions and emotions. We cannot continue like this, Mama Ayo said firmly, her voice cutting through the tumultuous air. Something must change. Zuri's jaw tightened, her pride wounded, but her greed unyielding. I will not be made the scapegoat, she declared defiantly, her eyes blazing with defiance. The confrontation continued well into the evening, tempers flaring and hearts heavy with disappointment. For Zuri, the weight of her action hung heavily upon her, yet her resolve to cling to her perceived entitlement remained steadfast. The morning sun rose over Amara's transformed farm, casting a golden glow over the fields that were once barren, but now teemed with life. Villagers moved through the rows of thriving crops, their faces radiant with joy and gratitude. Amara stood at the heart of the farm, a smile of contentment on her face as she watched her vision come to fruition. Nearby, Mama Ayo approached with a basket overflowing with ripe tomatoes, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Look at what you have accomplished, Amara, Mama Ayo exclaimed, her voice filled with awe. This land is thriving because of your hard work and determination. Amara's cheeks flushed with humility as she accepted the basket. It was not just me, Mama Ayo, she replied modestly. It was the strength and support of our village that made this possible. Around them, villagers gathered, their spirits lifted by the sight of the once barren land now abundant with crops. Children ran through the fields, their laughter echoing through the air as they gathered vegetables for their families. "You have brought hope back to our village," Amara, Kofi said, approaching with a warm smile. "Your generosity and perseverance have inspired us all." Amara nodded gratefully, her heart swelling with pride. "We have been through hardships together," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "And together, we have turned adversity into opportunity." As the day continued, villagers worked side by side with Amara, helping to expand the farm and ensure its continued success. They shared stories and laughter, their bonds growing stronger with each passing moment. By evening, a feast was held in honor of Amara's accomplishments. Tables groaned under the weight of freshly harvested vegetables, and villagers gathered around a crackling fire, their faces illuminated by its warm glow. "To Amara, our steadfast leader," shouted Mama, raising her cup high. "May her farm continue to flourish and her generosity continue to inspire us all." The villagers shared in agreement, their voices ringing out in a chorus of celebration and gratitude. Amara smiled, her heart overflowing with happiness as she looked around at the faces of her community, united in joy and unity. "I am grateful for each and every one of you," Amara said, her voice filled with sincerity. "Together, we have proven that with hard work, faith, and the spirit of togetherness, we can overcome any challenge." And as the stars twinkled overhead, casting their gentle light upon the village, Amara knew that their journey was far from over. But with the support of her village by her side, she was confident that they could face whatever the future held, secure in the knowledge that their bonds were as strong as the fertile soil beneath their feet. The once cheerful home of Zuri lay quiet and empty, shadows dancing across the bare walls as a cold wind rustled through the window. Zuri sat alone at the wooden table, her hands folded tightly in her lap, her eyes fixed on the floor. "What have I done?" she murmured to herself, the weight of her actions heavy upon her. "I thought I could have it all, but now..." Outside, the moon shone, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. Zuri's thoughts drifted to the barren piece of land she had given to Amara, her heart sinking as she recalled the deceitful scheme that had led to this moment. "It was just a piece of worthless land," she muttered bitterly, her voice echoing in the empty room. "How could I have been so blind?" Suddenly, a knock at the door shattered the silence, causing Zuri to startle in her seat. She hesitated for a moment before rising slowly to answer, her heart pounding with apprehension. As she opened the door, Zuri's eyes met those of Amara, standing before her with a mixture of sorrow and determination in her gaze. Amara's hands were empty, her expression readable as she stepped inside without a word. Zuri felt a lump form in her throat, her guilt threatening to overwhelm her. "Amara," she began, her voice wavering, I didn't expect to see you." Amara remained silent, her eyes searching Zuri's face for answers. Finally, she spoke, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. "Why, Zuri?" she asked softly. "Why did you deceive me? Was the farm not enough?" Zuri looked down, able to meet Amara's gaze. I wanted more," she admitted reluctantly, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought I could take what was rightfully mine." Amara's brow furrowed in disbelief. "And you thought you could deceive me to get it?" she asked, her voice tinged with hurt. "Did you not consider the consequences of your actions?" Zuri shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "I was foolish," she confessed, her voice breaking. "I wanted to prove myself, to show that I could be as successful as you." Amara sighed, her shoulders sagging with resignation. "Zuri," she said gently, her tone softened, "success does not come from deceit or greed. It comes from hard work, honesty, and integrity." Zuri sank into a chair, overcome with remorse. "I have lost everything," she whispered, her voice filled with despair, "including your trust." Amara took a deep breath, her gaze softening with compassion. "Zuri," she said firmly, her voice filled with resolve, "it's not too late to make amends, but you must start by acknowledging your mistakes and seeking forgiveness." Zuri nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I am sorry, Amara," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I have betrayed you and I deeply regret it." Amara approached Zuri, kneeling down before her. "You have a chance to make things right," she said gently, placing a hand on Zuri's shoulder. "But it will take time to rebuild what has been broken." As the moon rose below the horizon, casting the room in a dim twilight, Amara and Zuri remained in silence, their hands heavy with the weight of their shared pain and uncertain road ahead. But in that moment, a flicker of hope sparked within Zuri's heart, a glimmer of redemption that whispered of a possibility for forgiveness and healing in the days to come. The village square was alive with activity, stores laden with fresh fruits and vegetables, and the air filled with laughter and chatter. Zuri stood at the edge of the crowd, her heart pounding with a mix of apprehension and determination. She knew that earning back the villagers' trust would not be easy, but she was ready to face the challenge. Taking a deep breath, Zuri made her way through the throng of people until she reached Amara's store. Amara looked up from arranging a basket of tomatoes, her eyes meeting Zuri's with a hint of surprise. Amara, Zuri began, her voice steady but earnest. I need your help. Amara's brow furrowed and she set down the tomatoes, giving Zuri her full attention. What is it, Zuri? She asked, her tone cautious but open. Zuri took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. I want to restore the farm, she said, her voice filled with conviction. I know I made mistakes and I want to make things right, but I can't do it alone. Will you help me? Amara studied Zuri for a moment, her expression thoughtful. Restoring the farm will not be easy, she said slowly. It will take hard work and a lot of effort. Are you truly ready for that? Zuri nodded firmly, her eyes shining with determination. I'm ready, she replied. I'll do whatever it takes to prove my sincerity and earn back the trust of the villagers. Amara sighed, her gaze softening. All right, Zuri, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. I will help you, but you must understand that this journey will not be quick or simple. You will need to show humility, patience, and dedication. Zuri's eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Amara, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. I won't let you down. Together, they turned to face the gathered villagers who had begun to take notice of their conversation. Kofi, the village elder, stepped forward, his eyes filled with curiosity and concern. Zuri has something to say, Amara announced, her voice carrying across the square. She seeks your forgiveness and support as she works to restore the farm. The villagers exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of skepticism and hope. Kofi nodded for Zuri to speak, his eyes steady and encouraging. Zuri stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. I know I've wronged you all, she began, her voice trembling slightly. I let greed and pride guide my action, and I failed in my duty to care for the farm. But I want to make things right. I'm asking for your forgiveness and your help to restore what was lost. A murmur spread through the crowd and Mama Ayo stepped forward, her face softened by compassion. Actions speak louder than words, Zuri, she said gently. Show us through your days that you are sincere. Zuri nodded, her eyes bright with determination. I will, she promised. I will work hard every day to prove myself and to earn back your trust. Kofi raised his hand, silencing the murmurs. We will give you this chance, Zuri, he said solemnly. But remember, trust must be earned. We will watch your actions closely. As the villagers nodded in agreement, Zuri felt a surge of hope and resolve. With Amara by her side and the support of the village, she knew that the path to redemption would be challenging, but she was ready to face it head-on. And so, with renewed determination, she embarked on the journey to restore the farm and rebuild the bonds that had been broken. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the restored farm. The fields, once barren and neglected, now flourished with vibrant crops. Laughter and cheerful chatter filled the air as the villagers gathered to celebrate the farm's revival. Amara stood near the center of the celebration, her heart swelling with pride as she looked at the thriving fields. Beside her, Zuri smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude and relief. We did it, Amara, Zuri said softly, her voice filled with emotion. The farm is alive again thanks to you and the villagers. Amara placed her hand on Zuri's shoulder, her smile warm and encouraging. You did it, Zuri, she replied gently. You worked hard and proved your sincerity. The villagers see that now. Kofi, the village elder, stepped forward, raising his hand to quiet the cry. Today we celebrate not only the restoration of our farm, but also the strength and unity of our village, he announced, his voice carrying across the fields. Zuri has shown true dedication and has earned back our trust. The villagers cheered, their faces alight with joy. Mama Aya approached Zuri, her eyes filled with pride. You have learned a valuable lesson, Zuri, she said kindly, and we are proud of the woman you have become. Zuri nodded, her heart full. Thank you, Mama Ayo, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. I have learned that true success comes from hard work, honesty, and the support of those around us. Amara stepped forward, addressing the villager with a grateful smile. This farm stands as a testament to our resilience and unity, she said proudly. Together, we have overcome challenges and rebuilt what was lost. The villagers nodded in agreement, their hearts united in gratitude and pride. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the fields, they gathered around a large table laden with food, ready to share a feast in celebration. Zuri stood beside Amara, her heart full of hope and determination. I am grateful for your forgiveness and support, she said, her voice steady. I will continue to work hard and ensure that this farm remains a source of life and prosperity for our village. Kofi raised his cup high, his voice ringing out with pride. To Zuri, to Amara, and to our village, he declared, may we continue to grow strong together. The villagers echoed his toast, their voices blending into a harmonious chorus. As they shared food and stories, the bonds of their community grew stronger, their hearts united by the trials they have overcome and the hope they carried for the future. In the fading light of the evening, Zuri and Amara stood together, looking out over the fields that now symbolized their journey of redemption and growth. They knew that challenges would come, But with the strength and unity of their village, they were ready to face whatever the future held. And so the village, one divided by conflict and greed, was reunited in harmony and prosperity, their hearts bound together by the lesson learned and the love they shared. Please don't forget to leave your comment and also like and subscribe. This story is under the copyright of New Phoenix Illumination Limited.